Do I ever eat when I'm not hungry? Sometimes I'll eat out of entertainment, but I realize it's not good for me, so I try not to. Because I feel like when you're just sitting there, like eating and just like binge watching Netflix, I feel gross afterwards. But yeah,
Okay.
it happens. Not perfect. When I'm sitting down to eat a meal, it takes me a long time to eat. I'm actually one of those people who they'll ask me like 5 times, like, can I clear your plate? Can I clear your plate? And I always just want to be like, no, don't clear it. I still want to pick at it because I'm a grazer. I like to just like eat a little bit and then eat a little bit more. And then if I were Italian, I'd be like, oh yeah, we have long Italian meals. But no, I literally just like to graze even when I'm at a meal. So it takes me a long time to eat. I don't know, over an hour if I'm eating a meal. Okay. So how long does it take me to eat? I mean, it really depends on my meal. Sometimes it'll take me 20 minutes. Sometimes if I'm at a long meal, it'll take me a little bit longer. But a lot of times when I'm eating a meal, I'll eat a little bit, then take a bit of a break and kind of reassess what I want, just a little dabble here and there. Intentionally take these breaks. A lot of times people will ask me if they can clear my plate and I'm like, no, I still want to pick at it. But then I'll go back and eat some more because I want to really enjoy my food. Oh, okay. So how do I decide what's going to satiate me? Like, what do I order when I go out to eat? I literally just listen to my body. So if my body's telling me you want fish, or if my body's telling me you want meat, like I'll look at the menu and decide what it is my body's telling me that I want, and I listen to it. If I think that if you get in the habit of eating good food, your body craves good food. So, sometimes I won't listen to the French fries, but I think if you're in the habit of eating pretty healthy food, your body will crave it, and your body will tell you what it wants. So if you listen to it and you don't engorge yourself, and I think that it does okay. Okay, so mine's actually the opposite.
So repeat that. So if I've gained a couple.
So if I notice that I'm like getting a little around the squishier side, I actually don't look and say, what can I cut back? Because what I notice is when I get lazy eating and I don't pay attention to what I'm eating, I'm just eating whatever's in front of me and whatever convenient. That's typically when I get a little squishy. So the way I handle it is actually a little opposite. Most people think, what can I not have? I start thinking about like, what can I have? And so I start like dreaming up these healthy options that include lots of vegetables, lots of lean meats, and things that can flavor them, that give a lot of flavor but not a whole lot of calories. So like I avoid creams, but lemon, mustard, lots of spices. I'll start dreaming up of all the things that I can have. And typically if I feed my body with vegetables and lean meats, then I don't even crave the bad stuff anymore. So if I've noticed I get a little squishier, instead of saying I'm gonna cut back on this, which would probably be like chocolate and cakes and pies and stuff, I'll switch to Skittles. We know about my Skittles, so that I can still have sweet stuff, but I'll start to be more intentional about what I can have than what I can't have. So if I ever notice that, the only time that I've ever actually like really followed or been super conscious about a diet is when preparing for a pageant, because you're really, really focused on it. But for the most part, I haven't like jumped from diet to diet. I've literally never followed a diet. I just start to tailor back what my normal patterns are and become more conscious about what I'm eating rather than following a specific diet per se. I don't know. I don't know why I do it. I think it's because I like to try different foods, and I feel like if you like engorge yourself, you're not enjoying it. Like I'm very, even when I'm eating, like I'm very conscious about my bites. Like I'll look at, actually I've been made fun of for that before. Like if I'm eating it's bad, but like a bag of chips, I literally look through the bag of chips for like the one that has the most amount of flavor, and like I'll determine which part of the chip I'm gonna eat, and like I'll even look at which chip has like the most amount of stuff on it and like put that tongue side down. I do the same thing with like a plate of food. If there's like multiple things on the plate, like I'll be very conscious about, I'm gonna have a little bit of that and a little bit of this on my one fork so I can have a perfect bite. And so I'm just conscious of that, and then I stop because I want to reevaluate like which is the best bite and what things are going to taste good together. And so I don't think it's like a conscious, like, oh, I don't want to feel full. It's just I want to like enjoy my meal the best. So, I mean, salad's a perfect example. Like, if I eat a salad, like, there's a lot of different things in the salad, but you don't want to just like eat this and then you have all this lettuce that you've eaten and then all the good stuff is at the bottom. So I'll take like a little bit of like, if it's like a gorgonzola and cranberry and chicken salad, I'll get a little piece of all those things and then put this lettuce last, or the lettuce and then put all the little pieces so you get your own little perfect bite each time. Same thing with, like, okay, so if I have, I like eating filet. So if I order steak, I get a filet, and I'll specifically like cut off the pieces of filet that are perfectly cooked first, and then I'll combine them with, I usually order like a creamed spinach or mashed potatoes or like the sauce, and I'll like get a little piece of the, like at Ruth's Chris, it comes on a hot plate. So if it's not perfectly cooked, I'll even like sear it properly so it's like the right amount of cooked. And then I'll get all of the little things to like make this perfect bite of a piece of filet.
When I eat, I try not to ever get to 100% full. I try to get to about 80% full. Each day, I average about 1.5 to 2 meals. So each day I'll try to eat between 1.5 to 2 meals a day. So yesterday for breakfast, I just had my orange juice and coffee. And then, so I don't eat breakfast. And then I had sushi for lunch. And then I had a very light dinner, early dinner. And so I generally eat about 1.5 meals a day. If I'm going out to dinner, sometimes it'll be 2 meals. If I had a plate in front of me of ribs, broccoli, and mashed potatoes, I think I'd eat what I was craving first. I just would eat what I wanted to first. I'm not a huge mashed potatoes person, so I'd probably eat the ribs, and then I love broccoli. I really just focus on eating what I enjoy eating until I feel satisfied. I've never read a diet book or been on a diet. I generally just try to eat in moderation and not really worry about a diet or eliminating certain things from my diet, because I want to feel satisfied and healthy, and I don't want to have to give up things I love, like nachos. I would never want to cut those out of my diet because I like them. I just want to eat where I'm not overeating nachos, and I just want to enjoy them in moderation. I never feel like I'm depriving myself. And it's when I get over about 80% full that I feel like I'm, gluttonous and that I've overeaten, and I don't need that much. So, and it's not as enjoyable to overeat as it is to just enjoy in moderation. I don't eat a ton of sweets. I like sweets, and if I eat sweets, it's going to be, chocolate covered almonds or chocolate covered raisins, or chocolate chips, dark chocolate chips in the freezer, or dark chocolate in the refrigerator. And it's so fulfilling. I don't need that much of it. I would just only have a little bit of it. Just if, maybe like a half of a palm full of frozen dark chocolate chips, or just a little brick of dark chocolate, or just a little handful of chocolate covered almonds or something. My very favorite food is nachos, and I could eat them for every meal, every day. I could literally eat them all the time. And I love them because they're salty, and then I have vegetables on them and cheese. And I literally go full board nachos. So I put the chips, and sometimes I'll do like sweet potato tortilla chips instead of just plain tortilla chips or whole grain. And then I'll have cheese, and I love chicken or barbecue on them, or steak or some meat. I do sour cream and guacamole and salsa and lettuce and jalapenos. So I'm getting essentially like a salad on my nachos, but it's just that nacho fix, like the cheesy and chips. And then you have a whole really good salad for you if you have avocado or lettuce, salsa, those things. But I don't eat the whole plate of nachos. I just eat till I'm satisfied, and it fulfills me, and it takes away any sort of yearning for cheesy, carb loaded goodness that I have. And I have a whole pile of like salad on it too. So it's a good way to not feel so guilty about enjoying a good treat for me. So if I have a plate of nachos, the perfect chip or bite every time would have cheese, black beans, a little salsa and onion, and guacamole, and maybe a piece of, whatever meat is on the nachos. Just a complete fulfilling bite each time. That way you feel like you're really you don't need to eat more chips with everything. You're satisfying your craving for the complete plate of nachos by only eating each chip at a time, and really savoring and enjoying the entire element of that chip. But it might sound silly, but if you eat one by one slowly with everything you want on it, you will eat less of the nachos. So over the holidays, I definitely have put on a couple pounds, and I'm still small framed, but I literally, instead of doing just the 30 minutes of cardio or something, I've been doing 35 to 45. And I have been eating, even though I eat nachos, for example, if I have nachos, like, today for lunch, I had sweet potato nachos with sweet potato and onion and salsa, and I didn't eat meat on the nachos. So I take what I love and I just kind of step back a little bit and try to make it a little healthier for me, but not deprive myself completely of something I crave and that satisfies me. Because if I don't eat what I want, then I'll be hungry the rest of the day, and it's counterproductive. So yesterday I went and I had sushi for lunch, and I ate so much sushi that I was full literally the rest of the day. I didn't probably even need to eat dinner, but I did have some just crisp peas and dip and vegetables and dip. While my children were eating dinner, I sat down at the dinner table with them and had that just to be with them at dinner time, but I was not hungry. So if I have enough to eat for lunch and I'm full, I don't eat, except for just something like that. I did it because my kids are at the table and we were all eating our dinner. So I am but I ate a little bit, and I wasn't even hungry. I more ate just to get some good veggies and some fresh carrots and crisp peas while the girls ate dinner. So if I'm already full, I don't need to eat more. And I have no problem not eating more if I'm full. If I've had a huge lunch or a late lunch, and it comes dinner time and I'm out with friends at dinner, am I going to sit at the dinner table and not eat anything? No, I am going to be, maybe eating a couple bites or something just to participate or be with my, eat something, but I'm not going to eat a whole meal when I'm not hungry. Same thing with the girls. If you're with your family at the dinner table, you might want to sit down and have a couple bites of something, or eat some fresh vegetables, just nutrients. But if I'm by myself and are running the girls around and we're not sitting down to dinner, if I'm not out to dinner and I'm full, I'm definitely going to skip dinner if I'm not hungry. If I am trying to lose weight, I will make sure not to eat at all until I'm hungry that day. And then when I'm hungry, I want to satisfy my cravings, so I don't go the rest of the day wanting something and craving for something. For example, if I am not hungry till like 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock, I will not eat till 1 or 2 in the afternoon. And then if I eat enough at 1 or 2, I might not be hungry the rest of the day. The thing I try to do is just in the holidays, when you're always around food and it's, you're out drinking and having fun and there's food everywhere, you kind of get out of your element, and just because it's around and you know, you're staying up later, you're tired, you're eating. When I try to dial it back in, I just try to have control over my day. And so I try to eat like a healthy meal, and then maybe a little bit at night. But I don't eat breakfast ever unless I'm like going out to brunch on a special occasion. But if I'm on the, you know, 95% of the time, I just have my orange juice and coffee for breakfast, and then I'll eat when I'm hungry for lunch. But when I'm really in control of myself, and when I'm, you know, when I'm, you know, there's not holidays and parties to go to, I really just try to eat like a pretty big lunch, not big, but like a satisfying lunch, and then a little something for dinner. I've never like deprived myself of anything. And if I've never felt like I was on a diet, I just try to really be, you know, conscientious and eat in moderation and have control over, you know, when I'm in, you know, eating and drinking every day. When I'm done eating, I just put my utensils down and I don't want any more. So there's nothing, you know, I think there's no ritual I do when I'm done eating. I don't like end my meal with coffee. I just feel happy and satisfied, and I put my utensils down and stop eating. I don't know. So no, there's nothing really a ritual I do.
So when I am looking at a menu and I'm trying to decide what to get, I first of all, my appetite is a bit of a struggle. So it's got to be something that I really like. That's what I'm going to get. I'm not going to order a salad because I feel like I should, or I'm not going to order something that I'm going to struggle to eat or not really like. I'm going to get what looks good to me. All right, so here's my plate. I've got my grilled tuna. I've got some kind of like roasted cubed potatoes, green beans. I'm not going to, if I don't really like it, I'm not going to touch it. So if I'm in a restaurant and I just kind of had to pick a side, or it's with a side I don't really like, I'm just not going to eat it. I don't eat like veggies or anything like because I think I should, if that makes sense. I'm only going to eat what I really like, and I don't do it. I don't kind of compartmentalize it, if that makes sense. I'll just have it. I'll have a bite of tuna with potatoes and green beans all in one bite. And so I'll kind of eat all of it until I'm either bored or just not feeling hungry, or just, you know, but I'll eat it consistently, if that makes sense. Most of the time, if I want pizza, I'm going to get pizza. I'm usually going to get what I want. However, occasionally I will get a salad, even if, you know, I'm craving something else more, because, you know I haven't been eating a lot of veggies lately. I've been eating kind of too much garbage. And, you know, once I even think about that, the thought of eating the pizza it really kind of makes me feel gross, if that makes sense. Like, then I almost genuinely want the salad more than the pizza, because I hate the way I feel after the pizza if I've piled it on top of, you know, several days of not eating well. Sometimes I will order like a side salad or a salad, and knowing that I'm going to eat maybe a little bit of my kids or Keith or whatever, you know, if they got pizza or something. So, you know, I get the salad for me. I eat most of the salad, but I'll have a few bites of what they have just to kind of, you know, satisfy that craving maybe. Yeah, sometimes, you know, I do get asked, how do you stay so thin? Or I'll be out to eat and I'm ordering dessert and they're like, what, you know, do you work out constantly? No, I eat small portions, and over the course of a day, I just don't eat a ton of food. I eat exactly what I want, but I find that when I'm eating what I want, it makes me less hungry, if that makes sense. It just satisfies, my appetite, cravings, whatever. So I, within reason, eat whatever I want. I mean, and I naturally crave, the more and more I learn about health and nutrition, I naturally crave things that I know are good for me. That's not to say I don't eat junk. I do. And I like junk, but it just doesn't feel as good when I have that information that I can't forget, if that makes sense. But my biggest thing, and it has always been, I don't eat a lot. Keith will joke, you've probably heard him say this, like, we'll be driving down the road on a trip and Kim's like, I'm starving, I have to eat something. And then we stop and she eats 3 bites and she's like, okay, I'm good, I'm full. But I don't eat a lot. So I think that's the biggest part for me. But yeah, if I want dessert, I'm going to eat dessert. Yeah, I know that the Okinawans eat to when they're about 80% full. And there's stuff like that out there. For me, it's more I eat until I don't feel hungry anymore. So it's not about feeling full. I don't like feeling full. Like the feeling of being full kind of makes me uncomfortable. So I'll just eat until I don't feel hungry anymore. I usually don't eat if I'm not hungry. And once I'm not feeling hungry, I'll stop eating. But it has nothing to do with full. And I do that knowing that I'm going to eat again. Like I graze. I don't eat like 3 big meals a day and that's it. Like I'm a grazer. So I know that I'm, in a couple hours probably going to have a snack. So there's not this sense that like, oh, I have to fill up because I'm not eating again till tomorrow or for 5 or 6 hours or whatever. It's just, I just eat till I'm not hungry, knowing when I get hungry again, I can have a snack. So if I was going to look at my stomach as a gas tank, I would say generally I would say about 75% full. If I am out to eat at a restaurant, I'm more likely to eat dessert for one. So in my mind, I'm saving room for that. But all in all, walking away from the meal, I'm probably 85%, maybe 90% full if I'm out to eat. When I'm at home, I would say it's about 70% full. Yeah. Again, knowing, especially at home, like I can turn around and have a snack. Yeah. I don't really pay attention to the clock in terms of, no, I don't want to eat past this time. Maybe I should. If I'm hungry, I'll eat a little bit. Normally, I don't eat my first meal till about noon or 1 o'clock. Some days I always have coffee when I wake up with cream, always. Some days I'm fine making it till 1. Other days I start to get hungry before then, and if I know, like if I'm going out to lunch or something, I know I'm going to be eating at 1, eating a meal, I'll munch on dry cereal, like Cracklin Oat Bran or something that has fiber. I try to. I might eat an apple. I might have a second cup of coffee. Normally my go-to drinks, like hunger drinks, would be either coffee with cream or ice water. And I really like crunching ice, which drives my family insane. But that definitely helps if I'm hungry. Yeah, trying to think any other, just like maybe some like whole grain crackers, those crackers they have that are made out of like, they don't have wheat or anything in them. They're gluten free. I keep a bag of those in my car. And sometimes I'll just eat like 10 of them if I'm really hungry. And I try to make sure it's like a whole food, if that makes sense. So not that Cracklin Oat Bran is a whole food by any means, or just has some kind of like substance to it. So whole grains or a fruit. Yeah, that's typically and that's just kind of what I crave anyway. Like if if I haven't eaten in a while, I don't want a bag of chips. I'll eat a bag of chips if there's nothing else, like I'm at a tournament and that's it. But I generally crave something with a little more substance. If I get on the scale, I've gained a couple pounds and I'm like, okay, I need to rein it in a little bit. I'm going to cut back on sweets, like dessert, or like just munching at night. I'm also just going to focus on more whole grains. Like I don't pay attention to carbs in terms of trying to limit them. I just pay attention to the quality of them, if that makes sense. So yeah, I'll just make sure what I'm eating is actually fueling my body and cut back on sweets a little bit. Not totally, just like a little. If I'm going to drink my calories, again, aside from coffee, it's going to be a smoothie. And that's not going to be in addition to a sandwich or, you know, something else. That the smoothie will be my meal. I have smoothies a lot for lunch, actually. And I can throw tons of like, you know, spinach and chia seeds and flaxseed. I normally do like almond milk, coconut milk combo for the liquid and just frozen fruit. Sometimes I will do, probably the most caloric thing I put in there is I'll throw some peanut butter or almond butter in them sometimes, but they're filling. So, but that would be the meal. Yeah. As far as protein goes, I don't focus on it at all. I just generally, I eat a fairly balanced diet. So I just kind of assume I'm getting plenty of protein. So I really don't think about it. I don't focus on it. In terms of how long it takes to eat a meal, I don't eat especially slowly or fast. I mean, I would just say average. I don't really think about it, honestly. It's not going to take me long though, because I don't eat a lot. It just doesn't, it doesn't take that long, but I mean, I certainly don't scarf it down either. So it depends on the meal. Obviously, like if I'm out to a restaurant, it's going to take longer because I'm going to eat a little bit more. If I'm at home, it's between 5 and 10 minutes probably. Or if it's in the case of like the smoothie for lunch, I'm drinking that as I'm doing other things. So I don't sit down and drink it, you know. So that's kind of hard to gauge. It's spread out. When I start eating my lunch, I try to eat when I'm about a 2, because the longer I go, the harder it is for me to actually feel satisfied when I do eat. You know, I'll start to get headaches and stuff. And so I try to eat when I am hungry, but not out of control hungry. And I would say for dinner, I'm generally between a 1 and a 2, just because the nature of what's going on that time of the day. It's easier for me around lunchtime to grab food than it is, you know, in the hours before dinner time. So I'm typically a little bit hungrier, but in general, I try to eat before I'm starving, you know, because then I'll just eat more. It's harder to, you know, I'm just hungrier throughout the day the longer I wait. So, I mean, generally when I wake up in the morning, I'm at a 1, approaching a 0. So coffee with cream helps tremendously. And that's kind of my go-to in the morning. And that keeps me till midday. When I try not to let the hunger go too far. You know, the hungrier I get, the less likely I am to make good choices about what I do eat. You know, maybe I'll just end up grabbing the first thing I see, a bag of chips, and eating, you know, too much of it. And then I feel like garbage. And so I try when I'm at about a 2 to eat my first meal. And then later on, closer to dinner, I'm, you know, probably going to be between a 1 and a 2 before I eat. But in general, I try to eat before I get out of control hungry.
Okay, so the longest time that I've gone without eating, it hasn't ever been a full day. It would be from the time that I wake up until dinner time. The time I normally start eating each day, it varies a little bit from day to day. But for instance, I have not eaten today and it's 11:30. I probably will not eat until sometime in the late afternoon when I have a break from teaching. And it's more about keeping my energy up, just having some sustenance versus sitting down to enjoy a meal. Although I love to sit down and enjoy a meal, and I will probably do so this evening. I don't eat breakfast. I never eat breakfast unless it's a social thing like a brunch on a weekend. I just don't eat breakfast. I have coffee with half and half and coconut sugar, and I may or may not take a second cup on the road with me. And sometimes I will take either a kombucha or pomegranate juice to sip on throughout the day because I don't really eat until the afternoon. When I'm truly hungry, I feel it in my stomach. It's actual physical sensation. And there's a little bit hungry and then there's hungry. And if I'm a little bit hungry, I usually sip on calories and that's enough. If you start to feel incoherent, I think that you have gone past needing to eat. If I wait until I'm ravenously hungry, I usually need calories before then for my mental processes. And those are usually my healthy snack, like an apple, or my sip on a juice or kombucha type calories. So I get to I need brain food before I get to the point of I need to satiate my hunger. I wake up, I have my coffee with my half and half and my coconut sugar. And I leave for the day. I'm carrying around a to-go cup of pomegranate juice just to have something, because that keeps me sharp, just having that sugar for my brain, really. Yesterday, I went to teach at the Governor's School for the Arts. I knew that I would have to speak a lot and think quickly and be articulate. And if I don't eat for a extended period of time, even if I don't feel very hungry, my thought processes would begin to slow. So for me, it's more of having something there to keep me going rather than I sit down and I have this meal. I guess I don't meal a lot. I tend to snack on small things to keep myself going. And I don't really sit down and have a meal until I'm at home for the evening. Anywhere from 3 to 5 days a week, I eat one sit-down meal a day, apart from very small snacking and beverages, not sugary beverages. And on the weekends, I have 2 meals a day. I don't really eat breakfast, but on the weekends, we'll go out. I actually am a foodie. I love food. My husband and I both love to explore different restaurants. So often on the weekends, that's part of what we will do, is we'll go somewhere interesting for either brunch or lunch or dinner. So a big snack would be a tuna packet. A small snack would be an apple. I usually pair it with something that has, I drink lattes and the milk fills me up. I like dairy. Those are kind of my go-tos. Oh, sometimes I'll carry a microwavable bone broth. They're very low calorie, but they're very high protein. Those are the kinds of snacks. I might carry a couple dates because of the natural sugars that are in them. Sort of keep my mental processes sharp. Those are the kinds of snacks that I go to. Yesterday, I got up and I had my coffee with my half and half and my coconut sugar. And I took on the road just to have throughout the day some pomegranate juice for the antioxidants and for the sugars. I knew I would be teaching from 1 to 5, so I had to plan ahead. So I stopped and I got some poke. Anyway, And I asked for only a little rice because they always put too much rice. And I had avocado on there and a little bit of mango and cucumber. That's about it. I took that with me and I snacked on that in between the breaks. And then, you know what? And then I didn't really eat much of a dinner last night because I ate that and I wasn't very hungry. If I've gained a couple pounds, this is the thing that I do. Well, first of all, when I gain poundage, like I had over the holidays, it is absolutely because I was eating sugar and I don't usually eat a lot of sugar. So I have the rare indulgence typically, but over the holidays, I definitely overindulged. So it was only logical to cut out sugar and get back to my normal. And when I did that, well, that and unhealthy carbs, you know, all those baked goods, then it easily came back off. That and the fasting. So no sugar, no bad carbohydrates, and no overeating. Pretty simple. I gave up any kind of processed. I still have the coconut sugar in my coffee, which has a lower glycemic index. And that's one of my things I'm not going to give up. I enjoy my coffee. That's the way I want it. I will have natural sugars in fruit. I don't say, oh, I can't have any sugar, not even in fruit. No, I feel that my brain needs that to function. But you know, no candies, no added sugars, no in processed foods and things like that. None of that. I do not eat many processed foods. I'm trying to even think of a processed food that I really eat. I mean, we buy whole foods and I'll cook with them, or I'll just eat them, you know, whole as snacks if it's produce. I never actually feel like I'm on a diet. I do take control of that eating window and I'll extend it if I feel like I need to lose weight. I'll extend that fasting period. I will eat less and I will eat better. I'll cut out any sugars that I may have been indulging in, things like that. I feel that when I'm doing those things, that then especially if I have that window of fasting, I can reasonably eat what I want to. And I never feel like I'm dieting. I don't feel like I have to go on like a keto regime, or I feel like I can still eat a balanced amount of food. And if I'm not doing it every day, I can have a dessert. I feel like it's about being in control and having some moderation and being relatively consistent. And then it's okay to break away from that and indulge in something. The way that I end a meal when I'm sort of done eating and I feel, okay, maybe there's something else that I kind of want, but I don't know what it is. Well, there's a couple different scenarios. I'd say that at home in that situation, if I'm still sort of wanting something, well, if I really haven't had a lot of calories during the day, maybe that's when I do decide, you know what, I'll have a little ice cream or something like that. If not, and I'm full, but it's just that kind of want something, then a cup of coffee or a cup of tea. I've done that frequently. The brushing the teeth trick for sure works. I don't run into that a whole lot at home. When I'm out in public, that's when I run into, I'm having a meal and it's sort of the talking and eating and having something to do, I think, with my hands during this conversation. And when especially if I'm finished before somebody else, that's when it's harder for me to stop. And that is the put the fork down, push the plate away from me, put my napkin on the table. It has to be like a physical separation. If I say it's around 11:30 and I have a lunch meeting around 1, but I'm already hungry, but I know that I'm going to have lunch and I need something to tide me over per se, my two main go-tos would be the, run by the coffee shop and have something that's made with milk, because milk will fill me up. I do regret that it's not organic milk because that's what I get at home, and I don't actually drink the milk at home. It's only when I'm out, but that's a go-to because it's easy, it's convenient, and it's not high calorie. And then my other go-to, if I'm thinking ahead, I have packed myself a pack of tuna, which can't be an everyday thing because of the mercury, but a couple times a week, that's a good 100-calorie, high protein, get you through snack. It's one of my go-tos. I like the tuna that's packed in olive oil. So I try to find something that is around 100 calories or less, generally with high protein, and that would be my get me through it snack if I'm truly that hungry, and I'm generally not that hungry at 11:30. Okay, so my go-to get me through it drinks, if I just need to tide myself over and I'm feeling a little on the hungry side, would either be a latte with whole milk, or pomegranate juice currently is a drink of choice, or a kombucha.